All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my top 3 trade destinations for Giannis this summer during the NBA offseason. Now, a lot of people are going to say, why do you have trade destinations for Giannis? Now, let me explain why. The Milwaukee Bucks are, at this particular point, they have no choice but to go in a rebuild stage and let Giannis free while Giannis is in the prime of his NBA career. Because, believe it or not, I just feel like the Bucks are not going to be in contention to win an NBA championship anytime soon. And I believe this is the perfect time for Giannis to request a trade as early as this summer, because Damian Lillard unfortunately tore his Achilles in the first round against the Indiana Pacers, and Damian Lillard is going to miss the entire NBA season next year because of the time frame of where he tore his Achilles. So you might as well just wipe out Damian Lillard, unfortunately, to miss the entire 2025-26 NBA regular season. Entire season. And when Damian Lillard comes back, he's going to be 36, 37 years of age. He's not going to be that same explosive player that we know Damian Lillard is when he's on Dame time. So it's unfortunate, but you got to look past that. And realistically, the duo of Giannis and Damian Lillard never, unfortunately, worked out in Milwaukee. He was there to help Giannis get a second ring, and things just haven't lined up well with the two respective duos. And the Bucks have been bounced out of the first round the last 3 years. 3 years in a row they've been bounced out of the first round after winning an NBA title in 2021, and they have watched several pieces go away over the years that helped Giannis win his first ring, like Drew Holiday. He was a sacrificial lamb to get Damian Lillard in town in Milwaukee, and then goes and helps Boston win a championship last year. Chris Middleton is no longer in town. I mean, it's bad for the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Bucks, when you look at it, they actually do not own a first round pick and don't own any first round picks until 2027 of their own. Well, actually, of their own, they don't own a first round pick until 2031. That is rough. Plus, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis are free agents, and their young talent isn't effective enough for Giannis to stay in town and want to win in Milwaukee rather than go elsewhere. So the time is now for Giannis to request a trade. But these are my top 3 trade destinations for Giannis this NBA offseason. Starting off with team number 1 is the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the Spurs, I think, are honestly a sleeper pick, and they could go all in to trade for Giannis this summer. Now, can you imagine a big 3 in San Antonio out in the Western Conference with Giannis, Victor Wembanyama, and De'Aaron Fox? That would give a lot of teams in the Western Conference some problems, some issues, but I think the Spurs have enough to get Giannis and bring him to town in San Antonio. Giannis would get traded to the Spurs. The Spurs, in return, would trade Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sokin, a 2025 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and a 2028 first-round pick. That's my own personal trade package that I would send in order to get Giannis if I was the San Antonio Spurs, but I think both sides would win. I mean, this gives Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox a true bona fide superstar, still in the prime of his career, one of the best players in the NBA. You get 2 great two-way players of Giannis and Victor Wembanyama to give a lot of teams problems and issues. And this would help the Milwaukee Bucks start off in a great direction for their rebuild. I think this is a win-win for both teams. Can you imagine that? I have to say a big 3 of Giannis, Victor Wembanyama, and De'Aaron Fox will possibly be a top 5 team in the Western Conference next season if they can align all together. Plus Stephon Castle playing with them. Oh my goodness. Hey, this is trade destinations, but if I were Giannis, forget the teams like the Lakers or the Heat. Why not play with somebody that has the potential to take the league over in Victor Wembanyama? I would definitely consider that. Next team is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, do the Oklahoma City Thunder need Giannis? Obviously no. But this is something that the Thunder may want to consider if they cannot get past the Denver Nuggets in the second round, because that would show that you have the star player that you want to build around the SGA, and you have the great supporting cast, but you just need one more player or superstar player to get over the hump to get an NBA title to Oklahoma City. And what better way would that be with aligning Giannis and SGA, two MVP caliber stars in the prime of their careers, play together in Oklahoma City. Now, the Thunder do have enough assets to pull this off. They do have several draft picks to give away. And I think Giannis being traded to OKC, with OKC in exchange trading Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, a 2025 first round pick, another 2025 first round pick, a 2027 first round pick, and 2029 first round pick. I think that's a win-win for both teams. Now, that's very risky for OKC to throw in a lot of first round picks, but they think about it. They already have so many as it is. But I think both teams win this trade, because if the Oklahoma City Thunder can't get over the hump, can't get over the edge this year, you would still have Giannis, SGA, Jalen Williams, and Wiggins. They still have a lot of solid pieces to help them go chase a championship in a loaded Western Conference. Plus, this would be a good rebuild for the Bucks. They would get a lot of return and possibly build around Chet Holmgren to be their next possible franchise player. Anything can happen, but hey, I think Giannis and SGA would be a tremendous duo out in the West for years and years to come to chase a title in OKC. And last but not least would be the Houston Rockets. Now, the Rockets, it's strange for them because they were just the second seed in the Western Conference, but got bounced out of the first round by a veteran 7th seed team and the Golden State Warriors that have the playoff experience with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler wasn't there, but he's had his own playoff success out in South Beach in this decade alone. The Rockets, one of the reasons why they truly could not beat the Warriors in this series was the fact that they had the Warriors on the ropes at times and were giving them issues throughout the series, but they didn't have a closer. They didn't have a true number one scoring option. This is where Giannis could step in and be that number one scoring option that this team desperately needs moving forward in the loaded Western Conference. But the Rockets already have Ime Udoka, a great NBA coach, several pieces to trade away to get a top-tier player like Giannis that could be a great serviceable two-way player, part of this Houston Rockets team. And getting Giannis this summer could attract to bring in another superstar like Devin Booker or another star down the line they could trade for. But the trade package that I have, the Bucks would have to give away Giannis to the Rockets. The Rockets in exchange would trade Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepard, a 2025 first round pick, and a 2027 first round pick. That's my own trade package. I think that's enough to get Giannis to Houston, and I think that's enough for the Bucks to take in for giving away Giannis, because Jalen Green, I don't think he's off the table, and I don't think he's untradeable this summer if I'm the Rockets, because that was your number one scoring option, and at times he faded away when the team needed him most. And I know he's raw in the playoffs. That was his first playoff experience, but this is what you're built for in the NBA playoffs. So, Jabari Smith, a former first-round pick from Auburn, just hasn't been the solid piece I think that the Rockets have been wanting over the years, or he hasn't became that player that once upon a time was an Auburn Tiger and hasn't translated his college game to the NBA level. But the Bucks are going to be desperate to get Giannis out of there if he requests a trade, because they have nothing to look forward to for a while. So anything they could get out of these three trade packages, as I get tongue-tied, would be enough to get Giannis out of Milwaukee. But with this Rockets trade, Giannis would be able to play alongside Sengun. I'm a big fan of him at the center position. Amen Thompson, you don't trade Amen Thompson. That defensive play you just don't get in the NBA anymore, with the league not being known for defense anymore. Fred VanVleet, Steven Adams, and I think this would be enough to compete in a loaded Western Conference. This would give the Rockets a solid number one scoring option, something that they need. But yes, the time has come for Giannis to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. Unfortunately, I think these three teams should do everything in their power, everything that they can to acquire Giannis this summer during the NBA offseason. And those are my top three trade destinations for Giannis this NBA offseason.